WPTV.
We are halfway through another terrific season of NFL football. Before we get into our midseason recap, our correspondent Pat Vega has everything you need to know about a chaotic trade deadline. Pat?
Well, most of us expected Adrian Peterson trade from early in October to be the biggest blockbuster of the year, but apparently the league was just getting started. The Bears improved their non-existent receiving corps with the addition of Dontrell Inman from Los Angeles. Jeremy Lane almost had a new home in Houston in a trade that landed Dwayne Brown in Seattle, but he failed to pass his physical exam, so instead the Texans will have to settle for draft picks. The 49ers made a move hoping to improve their poor quarterback play so far and want to have former Patriot Jimmy Garoppolo under center. Finally, two colossal trades were made on the final day before the trade deadline. Jay Ajayi is coming up north to join the Philadelphia Eagles, and Buffalo, who has really struggled without a top receiver, has acquired Calvin Benjamin from Carolina.
Thanks a lot, Pat. The deadline has been crazy indeed, but we're about to break down the midseason recap. I'm joined by Pat, Danny, Justin, and Kelly. This year has been pretty weird, to say the least. I'd say it's been a weird year for sports in general, especially NFL. So we'll start with you, Kelly. What's been the biggest surprise of the season so far?
For me, I would say the Los Angeles Rams. That team is rolling right now, and their offensive line is stellar.
Easily for me, I have to agree with Kelly. The Rams are the best team in LA. Sean McVay is finally given the shot in the arm the Rams needed in a new coaching staff, and he's finally turning Jared Goff into the top pick that he once was.
Oh, be still my beating heart. My Rams getting some love. I love it. But you know what? Not every surprise has to be a good thing. So I'm actually going to go with the Oakland Raiders here. The way that they have, I don't want to say tanked because there is time for them, but the way they played this first half, it was completely unexpected from what we thought they were going to do, and they're really in trouble going forward.
Pat, what has surprised you so far?
Talk about a surprise. The New York Football Giants. Everyone going into this season, they're going to be a Super Bowl contender. They're going to do very much well in the postseason and in the regular season, and 1-6, nothing. Biggest surprise.
We'll keep it with you. It's a good way to transition into the next question. Who's been the biggest bust so far this season? I'd say the Giants qualify for that question as well.
Definitely, but I'm going to look more south. I'm going to say Jameis Winston and the Buccaneers. They had the big special on Hard Knocks. Everybody said all the weapons surrounding him. He's going to do a lot of work, but I'm not seeing it. I think that's a big bust.
Yeah, how about you, Danny?
Right, a lot of people may be quick to say, you know, Matt Ryan or DeMarco Murray, but once you get below that top-tier talent level, there's guys that are really being a detriment to their team that nobody's talking about, and my pick is Terrell Pryor. Terrell Pryor, for what Washington expected out of him, he hasn't lived up to 1/10 of that.
For sure.
For me, I got to go with the Oakland Raiders. Last year, Derek Carr was an MVP candidate. Khalil Mack was Defensive Player of the Year. Now this year, Khalil Mack only has 4.5 sacks. The rest of the defense has regressed significantly. Derek Carr just can't stay on the field. He's been injured. Also, Amari Cooper is taking a step back.
Right. Kelly?
I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons. Where is the high-powered offense that we saw last year? I mean, these guys went to the Super Bowl, and this year Matt Ryan can't even seem to score more than 2 touchdowns a game.
Yeah, it really seems like they haven't recovered from the comeback.
Really rough weather in their last 2 games, but still, even before that, no excuse for how they were playing.
So haven't recovered from the Super Bowl hangover. Justin, we'll start with you. We're halfway through the season. Most teams already played their 8 games. Who is your midseason MVP?
Oh, for me, it's got to be Captain Checkdown and Alex Smith. He's finally progressing and is able to push the ball downfield. Not to mention he has 16 touchdowns on the season so far, where he only threw, I believe, 15 last year. Also, he's taking care of the football. He's not making critical mistakes. He doesn't even have a single interception so far in the season.
Right. Danny, who's your midseason guy?
I got to go with Carson Wentz, man. I mean, those Philadelphia Eagles, they are the truth. Now they got Jay Ajayi. That can only bring them even further, and Carson Wentz's play so far has just been spectacular.
For sure. Kelly?
Justin, you and I agree all the time. I'm going to go with Alex Smith as well, man. He's got a quarterback rating of 115 right now. And you're right, he only threw for 15 TDs last year. He's at 16 right now, and we're only at the halfway point. On top of that, like you said, this is the kicker. 0 interceptions. 0.
Pat, how about yourself?
Not really on anybody's radar for MVP. I'm going to say Russell Wilson. Terrible offensive line. He can do it with his arms. He can do it with his legs. He can will his team to a victory. They ask him, he does it.
So let's get to the fun part now. Now, who would you guys rather have for the rest of the season? We're going to start with the quarterback position. There's been a lot of great quarterback play so far. Kelly, we'll start with you. Who would you rather have as the quarterback of your team the rest of the season?
I really do like the energy that we're seeing from Philly, but I have to go with Brady. The level of play that he's playing at right now, at 40 years old, he's averaging 317 yards per game. And I mean, their defense is garbage, and they're still somehow managing to be 6-2.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. How about yourself?
even though looking at the stats, Brady is beating Carson Wentz in every which category, he's still much younger, faster, and athletic, and he can extend the play, and he can help that offense be more dynamic, so I got to go with Carson Wentz.
Yep, as I said in my last answer, all in on Carson Wentz. I mean, you look at those numbers, and yes, Brady's are higher, but when Brady does that, you expect it. When Carson Wentz is doing it, you really got to be impressed. The team is 7-1. They're rolling, and I'm gonna stay in those flames with Carson Wentz.
Pat, there's one more seat on the Wentz wagon if you want to hop on. Who's your man?
Nah, I don't think I'm gonna hop on. I think I'm gonna stick with Brady. I'm gonna go with the experience. He makes nobodies into somebodies. Everybody around him is better with Tom Brady. I think he can read defenses better than best in the NFL. I think I'm gonna take him for the rest of the season. 40 years old still.
We'll go next to the running back position. Danny, who's it gonna be? Is it gonna be Kareem Hunt? Who you going with?
This one's a little tough, but you know what? You got to stick with Le'Veon Bell. You got to go with the guy who's proven he can do it year after year. Kareem Hunt, unbelievable in those first couple weeks of the season. In our first episode, we talked about how his 5 touchdowns were so impressive. Well, that was well over a month ago, and now he's only got 6. I mean, he really has cooled down significantly. Le'Veon Bell's just heating up. You stick with the guy who's been here before.
Right, Pat. Who's your lead back?
I'm gonna go Kareem Hunt. I think his explosion is it's something to be desired. I think his touchdowns, he finds a way in the end zone, and he's young. He's showing promise.
Justin, who's your pick?
I got to agree with Danny. Consistency is key in the NFL, and Le'Veon Bell has been able to do it consistently for the past 5 years. And a lot of times you see a lot of flash-in-the-pan players where they just have one spectacular season and they fall off. I'm not saying that could be Kareem Hunt, but I got to stay with Le'Veon Bell.
Kelly, who's your back?
I'm going with Kareem Hunt. I mean, no doubt, Le'Veon Bell is still producing, but he's been in the season 5 years, and we all know, running backs are workhorses, one of the most taxing positions in the league, and they take a beating out on the field. So, I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt. He's putting up the same numbers as Le'Veon Bell, and he's a rookie. So,
getting all them checkdowns.
Come on, man, you got to go with younger legs.
I love it. I love it. Let's go to another skills position. Let's talk about the wide receiver position. We got 2 talented guys coming up next. We have DeAndre Hopkins and Julio Jones. Who's it going to be, Kelly?
I'm going to go with Hopkins. I know Deshaun Watson's out, but Julio Jones is made of glass. He is like, every single time I've had him on my fantasy league, he always suffers an injury. I have no faith there. I just can't. And Matt Ryan is not really throwing the way we used to see him.
Justin,
I got to go with Julio Jones. Despite DeAndre Hopkins has always been able to remain consistent with a revolving door at quarterback, Matt Ryan has yet to be seriously injured. And as long as Matt Ryan's on the field and Julio Jones is healthy, I got to go with both of them.
2 words. Tom Savage. Tom Savage is throwing the ball to DeAndre Hopkins.
My goodness.
I don't care how much the Falcons have struggled. I said it before. I'll say it again. I'll say it next week. I'll say it the week after that. Julio Jones is the best wide receiver in the National Football League. And no amount of poor play so far this year can convince me otherwise. So even though his numbers are way better, things in Houston just got way different. Thank God they got that World Series win, because it's going to get hard for them in football these next couple weeks.
No doubt. Pat, who's your number 1 receiver?
Bigger, stronger, faster, bigger catch radius. Julio Jones, no doubt. I think he's a game changer.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today, so that's going to wrap things up here for the football guys. Don't go anywhere, because coming up next, we head to the ice for the return of the hockey crew.